Again, on behalf of Calyxta, we would love to thank the very talented Jigs, Maguya, and of course his lovely students for Center for Aesthetic Studies. Thank you so much, guys.
Hey guys, it's terribly hot today outside. I'm about to attend an event for Calyxta. Finally, another beauty event. Beauty event comes rare these days. Anyway, I just got back from Korea. This is my first event. Meron nga ako nakalibutang event the other day because I was really tired from the flight. But anyway, I'm still looking for the venue. Anyway, I'll catch up with you soon pag napasok na ako. There you go, I finally found it. And I think I'm too early, but akit na ako. Umikot pa ako kasi hinanap ko talaga siya. Hello!
These are products that we have on our site. And then we have 2 stations there. So one is our highlight and contour station where you can have yourself highlighted and contoured.
Cool. Okay.
So this is our mix and makeup booth.
Hello!
So you'll win a free Milani brush if you get 2 pair of beauty trends.
Sige,
Yes.
let's
So
try
you
this
just have
out.
to flip them over. Yes. 2 cards at a time.
Aww.
Well, you can try again.
Oh really? Cool. It pays to be early. I know na. I know na. Ta-da!
Okay, you can choose from...
Yeah, the pink blush or this one, the rose blush. It's more matte. This one's more shimmery, no? Yeah. Has a highlight.
Probably get this one. Yeah, this one is fine.
Can I have your name?
Yes.
Jirbie.
Jirbie.
Your shade, your foundation shade, we can show it to which highlight and bronzer you want.
Oh.
And then we can have
wearing
it match your skin tone mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is it okay if I
Sige.
put some bronzer? Just to bronze up here. And then other side. There. So, do you want us to add more highlighter? Yeah. I'm gonna use the L'Oreal. Yay, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Smile.
you.
So this is our tester bar. Feel free to swatch anything. And then after you put on the makeup, you can use our cleansing water and our cleansing wipes.
I see. Thank you.
Here to share with you his take on current news. Please welcome Jigs
Oh,
To all these ladies from Baby Barangay also, to Bianx and to everyone, and also to Cindy from the Ficel. So let's begin. I'm gonna call on our first model, Trish. A lot of the makeup trends every season. There's always one that focuses on skin, if you guys know this. So as a makeup artist, I always make it a point that every season I try to do my research on current trends for fall winter, or whether it's spring summer or if I'm working on fall winter. So one of the trends that Calyxta discussed with me when we did our meeting for this event was the interior look, which is basically highlighting the skin, making the skin more dewy. So it's really just a focus on skin. But of course, adjusting for the weather in the Philippines, because we do have humid weather here in the Philippines. So just like with any makeup routine, I do begin with skincare. And I've really been a fan of micellar water ever since. I was introduced to micellar water in 2007. I was in makeup school in London, and I was correcting a lot of my mistakes with makeup with those oil and water makeup removers, the one that you have to shake. But the thing about these makeup removers, especially those eye makeup removers, is it has a tendency to disturb the rest of the makeup. I think the great thing about micellar water is you can dip it into a cotton bud, and if you need to make any necessary corrections, it just corrects that area. It doesn't bleed, or it doesn't take away the rest of the makeup. So that's the great thing about micellar water. So this is a micellar water from Simple. So I'm gonna start off by cleansing Trish's face. So I'm applying it with a cotton pad. So this can take the place of your cream or oil-based makeup remover. Especially with our humid weather, it's much more light on the skin. So again, I'm just beginning by cleansing Trish's face. Starting off with the cheek area, all the way to the T-zone. And then just also wiping this around your neck, making sure that everything is nice. Alright. And then after that, I apply a moisturizer. So this is also from Simple. It's a very light moisturizer. So I'm just going to take a small amount on the back of my hand. And with moisturizer, what I like doing is to apply the moisturizer, a lot of it on the cheek area, because that's where the skin tends to be a lot drier. And especially with this look, since you want to highlight the skin, and where you usually highlight are the high points of the cheeks. So you want to concentrate on moisturizing around those areas. Make sure you just blend around those areas also, so that you don't apply too much of the moisturizer. What you can also do is you can use your blending sponge if you have a beauty blender or whatnot. You can use a damp beauty blender to absorb the excess moisturizer. You can do that also. Again, I'm applying the rest of it on the other side of the cheek. The other side of the face, and then I apply whatever's left of the moisturizer on the T-zone. So as I mentioned, I apply most of the moisturizer on the cheeks and a little on the T-zone. Especially if you have combination skin, then you can just apply a bit of the moisturizer on the T-zone so you're not super oily. And then I'm blending that. Okay, cool. Alright, so as you know, Calyxta carries a whole variety of different brands. There's luxury brands, there's drugstore brands. So I'm gonna apply a little bit of foundation. So it's a drugstore foundation. Actually, we did something, a workshop this morning for the editor. So this afternoon is for the vlogging community. But I mentioned this particular foundation. It's Milani Conceal and Perfect. It's actually very popular in the YouTube community. And I remember in November I was in the States, I was in New York, I was going to the Dwayne Reed's and the Walgreens looking for this particular foundation. I bought 3 different shades, light, medium, and dark. And it was pretty much sold out everywhere I went. So they carry this also with them. It's their Conceal and Perfect Foundation and Concealer. It's actually a pretty good product. I have this in my kit. So, but it is a little bit full coverage. So what I like doing, especially for this look, is to mix a little bit of the foundation with some moisturizer. That way you thin it down. Especially for this look, you want it to be more skin-like, so you just want to even out the skin tone. Since this is the consistency of a foundation / concealer, it can be a little bit thick. So what I like doing is to just apply a few pumps of the product and mix it with a little bit of foundation. I mean moisturizer. So equal parts moisturizer and foundation. So I'm just gonna mix that together. So there. So it's a lighter consistency. Just wipe my hands now with some tissue. So I'm gonna apply it with a foundation brush. So I'm just gonna buff it into the skin. As you can see, it's very sheer. It's almost like a consistency of almost like a tinted moisturizer or BB CC-free type of base. So what this does is it actually mimics the look of just great skin. It's nothing too thick, and it evens out the complexion. And then what I like doing is with the damp beauty blender, I get a little bit of the product and I just kind of press the product into the skin so it looks more skin-like than anything. So So again, this is a damp blending sponge. Then I'm blending that also around the jawline. Well, and then I do the same thing on the other side. So I apply this on the other side. The shade I believe is medium beige. We did a jawline test on Trish earlier, just to make sure this is the correct shade.
Hi, Jigs. We have a question
Yes.
right here.
Go ahead.
Is there a certain kind of moisturizer that you have to mix with your foundation?
I prefer to use a gel moisturizer. Because the creamier ones, they tend to have a little bit more of oil in them. So it might not mix well with moisturizer. And especially for our weather, I prefer to use a gel moisturizer. Something a little bit more light.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Very interesting. Alright, so again, I'm just popping that into the skin. Dipping it again into a little bit of the mixture of moisturizer and foundation. And again, just pressing the blender onto the skin. So that's why these blenders are shaped like this, these sponges. So you use the wide side for the wider areas of the face, like if you're covering a large area like the cheek area. And then once you get into the smaller areas, like I'm applying the foundation now on around the mouth area, the chin, and above the upper lip, and around the corners of the nose. So you can use the pointed side now, just to get into those small corners. So the application is more precise, like the corners of the nose, around the bridge of the nose, since this is a smaller area and you have those corners there. And then, as I get to the forehead, I again use the wider side of the sponge. So as you can see, it's makeup, well, whenever I apply eyeshadow or foundation or even lipstick, if I'm using a bunch of different colors, I go over it with different shades or different tools, just so the application is seamless. And makeup is really all about blending certain products together, making sure that the blending is seamless. So again, I'm blending this around the hairline, just so you don't have any demarcation lines. And so I'm just taking whatever is left of the foundation from the back of my hand and just pressing it onto the skin, making sure that the entire process of applying the foundation is even. Alright, and this pretty much dries into a matte finish, but again, since you applied it with moisturizer, it gives up a little bit of a dewy effect to the foundation. But since we do want to follow this trend of like ethereal makeup, which is a little bit more highlighted and a little bit more dewy, I am using these two products from Maybelline. They're the Master Strobing Cream and the Master Strobing Stick. So again, I know strobing has been very popular in recent seasons. There was contouring like 2 to 3 years ago, but now in recent years, it's been more about highlighting the skin because it also looks more youthful. So I'm getting a little bit of this product, but I am not applying it directly. What I'm doing is I like to pin it down again on the back of my hand, just so I have more control of the product. So I'm going to apply that on the high points of the cheeks, using my ring finger. Like when I'm applying products with my fingers, I like using my ring finger because it has the lightest pressure among all fingers. So I'm just going to add a little bit more, just add a little bit of sheen. So you can apply this high on the cheekbones and blend it towards the temples. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that. Again, just thinning it out on the back of my hand and then applying it. Because you don't want to go overboard also, so apply a little, and then if you feel like it's not enough, then you can add a little. That way you have more control of the product. As opposed to applying a lot and then you'll have to go back and take away some of the makeup that you applied already. Okay. What you can also do if you like it to be a little bit more sheer is you can apply the strobe cream before the foundation. That way you have a layer of dewiness or highlight underneath your foundation. It will look a little bit more natural. And if it's not enough, then you can, after foundation and powder, you can layer powder highlighter on top of it. So that's one thing that you can do also. You can actually layer this underneath your foundation. So I'm applying it also on the bridge of the nose just to give definition to the nose area. A little bit on above the cupid's bow. And also the chin area. So you can use a combination of the cream and the stick. So the thing about using these stroke creams and these highlighting sticks is you're supposed to use it before you powder. Because if you powder and then you apply these products on top of it, then it has a tendency to break down the powder on top of whatever it is that you applied. So it's best to apply this before powder. Or don't use powder altogether. If you apply these, just apply the powder on the T-zone. So again, I'm just using my fingers. I'm not applying this directly onto the skin. I like using my fingers when it comes to products at least. So again, just to add a little bit more highlight to the skin. And especially if you use your fingers, it has a little bit more warmth, so it really blends the product onto the skin. It looks more natural.
Hi, Jake. We have a question from Claudia.
Yes, Claudia.
Best strobing for makeups.
What I would normally do if it's a shoot, I would apply the stroke cream before the foundation. Then after I've applied the foundation, I apply the stick on top of it. And because the lighting is a little bit more, I guess if it's not for a photo shoot, then using just the stroke cream is enough. It also pretty much depends on the kind of effect that you want, because some girls want that blinding highlight, while some girls prefer a more natural highlight. So if you prefer something more natural, then you can just use a stroke cream underneath your foundation. And then if you want to add a little bit more, then you can use the stick. And if you want to add even more after you powder, then you apply powder highlight on top. So, but if you want something more natural, and if you're a beginner with makeup, then I would suggest using just stroke cream, because it's a little bit easier to control. So again, I'm just layering the strobing stick on top. Cool. And then after that, this look is really all about just the skin. And shout out also to my students here from the Center for Aesthetic Studies. They helped me out. They prepped all of the models for today's event. So thank you to my 3 students who are backstage. So they've already prepped her brows and stuff. So and curled her lashes. So I'm just gonna apply Maybelline's Lash Sensational Mascara, just to add a little bit of definition to her eyes. And you'll notice actually throughout this entire makeup demo, a lot of the products I applied with my fingers, if it's possible, because your fingers are actually a great tool for applying makeup also. Alright, so actually that's it. That's basically our look, the ethereal look, which is a focus on image. Alright, so thank you Trish. Alright, so let's go on. Through all the runway beauty shots for fall winter. We go through Prada, Versace. It's a lot of graphic liner. It's the use of black, silver, gray shadows, and it's not really about creating that blended smoky eye. It's more like a graphic smoky eye. So as you can see, it's a little bit more winged. And it's not as blended. It's more of like a graphic line with the dark gray eyeshadow and a winged liner, and then mixing it with a little bit of silver. So again, my students there have already prepped one side of the face, just so it's a little bit faster, so you can see the effect. But I will do the other side just so you guys can see. So I am using the Eye of Horus Smoky Goddess palette. So this is a combination of dark metallic gray and some silver eyeshadows. I'm using these two. So for this look, I like using a squared flat shadow brush. So not the round shadow brushes, but these squared ones, these flat ones. That way you create a very straight graphic line with the shadow. So I am dipping into this dark metallic gray shadow. So what I would do is I would concentrate on applying the shadow just on the outer corners. And I will hold on to another brush. I'll explain why later. So this is to check for symmetry. Cool. Alright, so I'm just applying this on the outer corners of the eyes. So what this does is if you use it with a flat brush, it immediately creates that graphic line that you want. So it's fun. The thing about makeup is you can experiment with different shapes. There are really no hard and fast rules when it comes to makeup, especially with makeup trends. Again, because makeup is really an art. So I do like to check for symmetry as I go. So I use another brush just to check the lines horizontally, and then I like intersecting the brush towards the tail end of the brow, just so you see that line intersects there with the tail end of the brow. So I'm going to do exactly that on the other side. That way you have a guideline. So again, the thing about this look is it's about creating a graphic line and not about blending the shadow. So again, I'm just dipping into the shadow palette and I am slowly depositing the pigment onto the skin using the flat side to create that defined line. So this look is pretty much, if you're adventurous with your eye makeup, you can pretty much pull this off. And what this does is it gives your eyes a little bit of a lift, since it is, of course, kind of like a winged eyeshadow look. Okay, and then what I like doing is I take a blending brush and dip it into the same dark gray shadow and just blend just this area into the lid. That way the color is a little bit more soft. Cool. And then I take a smaller eyeshadow brush, this time in just your normal eyeshadow brush, and I dip into this silver here. And I apply it just from the inner corner all the way to where we applied the dark eyeshadow on the outer corner, blending those two together. And just like I mentioned earlier, I like going over the product again with the same brush that we used with the dark shadow. That way the application of the color is seamless. So this is actually something that you can do quite easily if you're used to working with brushes and if you're used to doing eye makeup. So again, I'm just going over that, just intensifying that dark area there. Cool. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this liquid liner, also from Eye of Horus, and just apply it from around the two-thirds from the inner corner, and just go from a thin line and going thicker as I go out. So as I go out, I'm going to go a little bit thicker, and then I'm going to follow that wing that we created with the eyeshadow. So just slightly wing the liner and end it where we applied the shadow. And then yes.
Hi, I just want to ask, what's your #1 tip for beginners who want to try it or reinvented smoky eye?
Oh, okay. If you don't have any of these hardcore brushes, like the flat brushes, what you can do is you can still apply it with your fingers. But what I would do is I'd apply the eyeshadow with my fingers, right? But you can probably skip doing your foundation first because it's gonna be messy. So especially if you're a beginner and you want to do a smoky eye, what I would do is I would apply my eye makeup first and then do the rest of my base later. That way, if you make a mess, if there's a lot of fallout, it's easier to clean. And then after I've applied of course your fingers are rounded, right? So you're gonna apply the the shadow there with the fingers, and it's going to be rounded. What I would do is I would take a Q-tip, dip it into the micellar water, and kind of trace the outline so it's nice and straight. That's what I would do. And then apply foundation all over your face after. That way you get that straight line. It's kind of like how you do your lipstick and you correct any mistakes with concealer. It's the same way. It's the same thing here. But if you don't have any of these brushes, then you can do the same exact look without having to invest in expensive brushes. Okay, let me know with smoky eyes, diba? Like, it's not for everyone. Sometimes it has a tendency to make your eyes smaller, correct? Because again, if you use darker shadow, makeup is about creating shadow and light, right? So if you use contour, that's why you use dark brown with a hint of gray to make your face look slimmer, right? So that's what contour does. It's the same way with your eye makeup. If you create a crease, and if you use black all over, then it is going to make your eyes look a little bit smaller. So what I would do is I would mix the black with something a little bit more metallic or a little bit more with highlight. And I would probably lessen just applying black underneath and probably use like a brown instead of a black and something with a little bit more shimmer. But the base of everything still has to be dark. But as you go out, it has to be a little bit lighter and there has to be a little bit more dimension. And like for the next look also, there was an interesting question this morning, but I'll get to that in a bit. So I'm applying again just a few coats of Maybelline Slash Sensational Mascara. More on the outer corners, since we did apply most of the color on the outer corners. I'm also applying it on the top part of her lashes, just so it looks a little bit more dramatic since we are doing a smooth look. So I'm going to skip applying the shadow on the lower part of her lash line, like on the lower lash line, because this is a more modern take on the smoky eyes. So that's what we did there. And just brush the brows. And good. Alright, thank you so much. Alright, that's our second look. Nash. Alright, this is our model Nash. So another interesting trend for fall winter is the use of color. But every season there is somewhat a use of color, like it could be on the lips. But for fall winter, on the runways like Anna Sui, Biblos versus for Versace, it's the use of like a pop of color on the lids. But I'm not gonna, and a lot of it is also like a graphic way of applying color, like yung mga lines. But I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more wearable because the graphic smoking was already a little bit intense. But I'm sure you can pull that off. You should. Alright, but then for this look, it's more of a two-toned colored eyeshadow look, which I'm sure all of you can do. So I am using the Pink Sugar Eye Candy eyeshadow palette. So I'm using these two shades of blue. So again, my assistants have already applied the shadow on one side of the face. So what I like doing is I'm going to use a flat brush to deposit this bright blue shadow, aqua shade, on the entire lid. So what I like doing is to apply this and follow the shape of the lids using the brush like this, applying it flat. Cleaning up as I go. Alright. And I think it's great that in recent seasons also, especially like recently, I've seen a lot of people using warm eyeshadows, like shadows with color, like reds, oranges, berries are very popular shades of eyeshadow now, and then you mix them with like more monochrome. So I think it's great that women are starting to use color because it was always just browns for the longest time, diba? And I think it's a little bit more interesting. It makes makeup a little bit more interesting. Like there's more color to the eye. So I hope this this colored eyeshadow trend catches up also. So again, I am just using taking away a little bit of the extra shadow there. And just depositing the color on the lid. So, unlike a blending brush, if you use a shadow brush like this, you're not supposed to use it like a pencil. So So if it's a blending brush, then you're supposed to pop it in like that. But if it's a flat brush like this, then you're supposed to follow the shape of the brush. That way you follow the natural shape of the lid as well. So I'm just going all over her lid, just a little bit below her natural crease. And just depositing as much of the color there. So the thing about these two-tone shadows is you want to blend the dark and the light shadows together, just so there's no demarcation line. So I am taking a slightly more compact blending brush and just concentrating on applying the color just on the outer corners first. So what I'm doing now is something a little bit more. It's not as pigmented as I would do, let's say, for a shoe. So if you want the color to be a little bit more intense, what you can do is you can layer creams and then apply a cream shadow or like a pencil in a similar shade of blue, and you can put it on the lid and then apply the powder shadow on top. But this makes the color a little bit more intense, and it makes the shadow wear longer also. So the same thing with, like it's the same rule with foundation, right? You apply powder on top of it to set the foundation. So you're pretty much applying a cream color and then setting it with powder, just so it lasts longer and the finish a little bit more intense. But for this, I'm just using this powder. So again, I'm using this darker shade on the outer corner. So again, I am going over that with the same brush that I used earlier with the light shadow, just to blend out any edges. And then I go over it with a blending brush now. So this bigger blending brush, and I'm dipping into the darker blue. And what I'm doing now is to just diffuse that darker blue all over the crease area. So again, the denser the brush, then the more pigmented the application is. But the fluffier the brush, the softer the application will be. That's the general rule when it comes to brushes. So like this is a fluffier brush, so the application is a little bit more soft, as opposed to something that's more dense. So we're just going to intensify that a little bit more. Again, I applied the shimmer shadow, the aqua on the lid, and the darker blue just around the crease area. And actually, I'm almost hitting the brow bone here. Alright. I'm just going to clean up underneath there. Applying a little bit of our Milani concealing effect, clean up around the under eye area.
Hi, Jigs, we have a question.
Yes. Okay.
Hi, Jigs.
Hi.
I have oily eyelids.
Okay.
And if I want to try that makeup trend, what's your suggestion to make it last longer and not look like a mess, especially in this weather?
Okay, so I would use an eyeshadow primer. So there are a bunch of eyeshadow primers available in the market. So you can use it before you apply your eyeshadow. They're more of a matte consistency, so they're a cream but they dry down to a powder finish. And then you can apply it before you apply your eyeshadow. That way the eyeshadow wears longer. Because if you don't apply a base underneath, just like with your foundation, if you apply a mattifying base, then it will last longer. Same thing with, but the consistency kasi of an eyeshadow base is different from a makeup base. So it's thinner in consistency because the skin on your lids are much thinner than your face. Thanks. Is that up? And finally, we are going to apply the lash. Lash sensation. Okay. Applying also a little bit on the top part of the lash. Alright, cool. And then I am going to apply some nude lipstick. So this is Pillow Top from Charlotte Tilbury. It's a beautiful nude lipstick. This is actually one of their lip liner shades that they made into lipstick. Just so to balance out the pop of color on the eyes, I am keeping the lips a little bit more. Charlotte Tilbury is also available at Calyxta.
Jigs, I have a question.
Yes. Yes, Jen.
What are your ride or die makeup tips? Like, in a deserted island.
Ako yung kasama mo lang. Ako lang yung kasama mo.
Makeup tips or makeup products?
Yeah, makeup products. Like, we not no specific brand. Like,
Well, I use a combination. I like using a very emollient moisturizer as a base. So I don't know if I can mention the brand, but I also have simple in my kit. I have micellar water. I have simple micellar water in my kit. I like using micellar water before any makeup session, and then a light moisturizer. If I'm going to use something a little bit more heavy, then I will use Embry Release. I will always have an eyelash curler in my kit because it's very important. I will have a bunch of correctors, like orange correctors to correct any under eye circles. I'll have a foundation palette, a bunch of cream blushes because the cream blushes or multiple sticks you can double as a cheek color and lip color and eye color. The last product I will mention in my next look because it is one of my favorites, and I think it will be one of yours. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you. So that was our pop of color. What was the name again? Marielle. So our model Marielle here is. I'm gonna do the feathered brow trend or the straight brow as it was mentioned in the deck in our brief, but I like to call it the feathered brow. So what I like doing with this look is I start off by just checking the natural shape of the brows. I'm just going to brush the brows in place, upwards and outwards. Alright, so Calyxta also carries Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm not sure if they have this, but this is one product that I use in particular. As you can see, super gamicha. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Primer. It's a pencil, but it's a wax. So there's also a dupe of this if it's too expensive, which they also carry. Milani has the same exactly. If you put them side by side, they look exactly the same. So this is almost like a glue stick. You know how drag queens use Elmer's glue, but it's much lighter. It's not gonna dry into it's not gonna flatten your brows. So I'm just gonna go straight onto the brow.
Would that be like, you know, the trend we're doing right now, soap brows?
Sorry?
The soap brows?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
So that kind of
It's kind of like that, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Alright, so I am going to apply it directly onto the brows. So it is very nappy, so it kind of flattens the brows for now. Whenever I use this on clients, whether it's models or even celebs, they're like, what is that? Because sometimes even without filling in, it looks kind of flat now. Sometimes even without filling in the brows, it looks nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush the brows against the growth, natural growth of the hair. And so what it does immediately is it feathers the brows already. If this were an actual like runway backstage, I wouldn't even be filling in the brows. I'd leave it like that. Because if you look at a lot of the runway photos, they're not really filled in, they just brush the brows just to make it look nice. But I'm actually quite happy with that. But if you want, I am going to fill them in. So, I am using the Melissa His Super Shape Ultra HD Brow Pencil. So this is almost like a grayish medium brown. What I like doing is I'm not really a fan of the squared brow. So what I like doing is I'm gonna keep it kind of rounded in the beginning part of the brow and use soft feathery strokes. So I'm just defining the bottom part of the brows and just going over it, just filling in the gaps. And then I am using the spoolie of the brush. Blend that out. And then I'm going to continue filling in the brows. Just following its natural shape for now. And then as I go, I'm just going to keep on feathering that and then everything. And then just continue towards the arch. And what I like about this feathered brow look is your brows don't have to look like they're twins, which they're not supposed to be anyway. They're supposed to be like cousins to our sisters. They're not supposed to be twins. Nobody is born with perfectly symmetric eyebrows. It doesn't look natural. And that's what I like about the beauty trends recently. It's not really about like perfect application of blush or perfect. It's something that anything that's super matte, diba? Makeup trends in recent years, they have become a little bit more natural and they look like lived-in makeup, which I really love. And then what I like doing is I like finishing this look off with like a clear brow gel, or sometimes if you don't have clear brow gel, what you can also use is hairspray. That's a trick that makeup artists do. Is what you can do is you can get some of your hairspray, you can spray it directly on your spoolie, let it dry a little bit, and then just brush the brows upwards and outwards. And then when it dries, it just stays there. I used to use a lot of the tinted brow mascaras, which I sometimes still use if the shoot calls for it. But it gives a little bit of flashback. Sometimes, like I used to be a fan of these like brownish and reddish brown. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those brow mascaras. But in recent years, in recent seasons, I have been using a lot of just clear brow manicures or brow sets, just because it gives the brows a little bit more of a sheen to it and it looks more natural. So I am going over the brows with a clear brow gel. Again, you can also use hairspray. And actually, I find when you use this with the wax, with either the Anastasia or the Milani, it dries down almost to the consistency of a hairspray. So I'm just messing with the brow and continuing to feather it while it dries. Right? So as you can see, it's a whole world of difference from the other brow. And it looks beautiful. It doesn't look like she filled in her brows actually.
Jigs, you have a question?
Jigs,
Hi.
what would be your advice for girls who have really thin eyebrows but who like to keep them feathered? Sometimes they put makeup on their eyebrows.
Yeah. I'm not really a fan of overdrawing the brows. You can kind of cheat it with this product there, because what it does is it kind of rearranges the growth of the hair, and it kind of like if you lack certain hairs above or below, you can brush it down or brush it up. Honestly, if you have thin brows, I would invest in microblading. Yes, I know she's had that done. Because I've seen, but you have to find somebody who does it really well. Because I've also seen some brows botched with
I thought you were gonna
microblading.
say like, why did you do it? Thank you.
Yeah, because like hers is really good. My sister had hers done, and it's really good also. So if you have really thin brows, one of my co-teachers also in CAS does it. So if done right, it actually is very beneficial for women who have thin brows. I would personally just fill them in, also because it gives me the makeup artist a job. But if you have thin brows, then I would suggest microwave.
But typically, even after microwaving, you probably
Still have to, kind of retouch,
Especially if you change your hair.
Yeah.
You change your hair.
Yeah.
I have a question. Since Shan said something, uso now colored hair, lighter. Is it still parang a yes if you color it a little, to match it? Or
Not really. It used to be like that. I mean, I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, and I came from an era where I would have Jolene cream bleach in my kit, and I would bleach the model's brows just so it matches the color of the, like Jasmine Meyerhofer, when she first started modeling, I would bleach her eyebrows every time I would work with her because noong time na yun, uso yung manipis na kilay, uso yung soft na kilay, that's how you would use those light brow mascaras. But nowadays, I think it's because the market has become more sophisticated. So it's really a matter of being able to pull off that look. You can have blonde hair, and like Cara Delevingne has blonde hair, but she has dark brows. So it's really a matter of preference, a matter of style. Okay, back to the brows. Okay, so that's it. The other brow has actually been filled in already. I'm just going to finish it off with some clear brow gel. Alright, and we're good. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you so much. Alright. Just I think on the British Vogue YouTube channel, and Belle Rodolfo preview was posted it on Facebook, and it's this French girl who applies the lipstick. She applies lip balm first. She already has lip balm. My students have applied lip balm, and she applies the lipstick with her fingers. So what this does is, especially for yung mga look natin ngayon na parang it's more organic, it's more natural. Well, there's nothing natural about dark lipstick, right? But you know what I mean. If you apply it with your fingers, it looks more like the color, it blends naturally with your lips. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Especially with this ombre lip, for shoots, I like using my fingers because it's easier to blend. So I am gonna use this deep, almost burgundy shade on the lower right portion, and I'm gonna mix a little bit of this pink and this nude on the outline of the lip. So it's gonna be an ombre lip. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my ring finger again and just dip into the darker shade. I'm gonna ask her to open up the lip just a little bit. So just apply it on the center of the lips. So what this does is, if you properly prep your lips with lip balm, is it kind of looks lived in. Actually, the deck was like, it's supposed to be a just kissed look. Or like you just made out with someone. Parang ganon. Hindi pa rin pang baby barangay yun. Pero parang ganon. So, diba, parang dapat hanggang dito, dapat sabi ni tayo. No, but PG tayo. PG, not R. Hindi tayo R rated. Okay, so we're just applying it on the center of the lips. Alright, so again, just applying it on the center of the lips. The millennials cannot relate, guys. See, kayo lang nakarelate. Okay, alright, so just on the center of the lips. So what I'm doing again is I'm just pressing the product onto the lips that have been prepped with balm. Alright. And then I'm just gonna wipe my fingers again with the antibacterial wipes. Just dry these off with some tissue. And then I am gonna take a combination of this pink and this nude. So again, make sure this is your palette if you're gonna use your fingers. Okay. So the interesting thing about this is it's alright to make a mess around the perimeter of the lips because you are gonna clean it up with your micellar water and the Q-tip. Because you don't want it to be a harsh line. You're not creating that super highly matte lip na talagang opaque. This look is not about that. It looks lived in, it looks organic. It looks like the color is just kind of radiating from your lips.
Do you have a question?
Is
Yes.
there a technique that we can use to get full lips with balm?
Sorry?
Is there
and gloss. Yes, so you can use the darker balm. Sorry, you can use the balm on the center of the lips, and then the gloss on the lighter gloss on the outer corners of the lips, because it's kind of the reverse of what I do to make your lips look. Because what the Koreans like is they want the lips to look smaller. So what they do is they put the darker shade that's not shiny on the center, and then the shine on the outer corners. As opposed to, if you want an Angelina Jolie type lip, you would want a darker shade on the outline and gloss on the center. That way your lips look more pouty. So it's reversed for this look. So it's darker on the center that has less shine, and then shinier on the outline. So again, I'm just applying this on the outer corners. Again, if you go over the natural lip line, that's fine. So if it's lampas, then that's fine. And then again, here on the outer corners, on the upper lip. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wipe down my fingers again. And then just like what we did with the eyeshadow is I like going into the same dark shade again. And then just intensifying that center area. Just so you have a nice blend with this. Alright, and then I'm gonna get into our micellar water again. And just clean up around the perimeter of the taking the opposite side of the cotton bud and applying some of the micellar water again. And just cleaning up the top part of the then I'm gonna go over it again with a little bit of the foundation. Just to further clean up the edge. Again, this is about, it has to look kind of lived in, it's nothing too defined. I'm just going to take a little bit of brush and just blend it out. And then I'm going to finish again with a coat of the Lash Sensational Mascara. Alright, so thank you for that. Thank you. Alright, so that was our final look for today, which is the...
Hope you learned a lot from Jigs Go. So just to recap, we did 5 looks today for fall winter 2017. We did the interior look, which is my favorite, with the matte shopping. And then we had the reinvented smoky eyes, which is a classic smoky update. And then we also had a pop of color for those of you who are very daring. And then we have the straight brows and feathering technique, and we also just had the just kiss lip or the ombre lip. So may I call on the models back so that we can have a photo op, so that you guys can also see the complete look.
Thank you. So we just finished the event. Wait. Hi. I didn't know you were here. Kamusta? Kakatapos lang ng event. Hey guys, so that's Shen. She's just shooting something for her vlog. Nakikiapa lang ako. Trying to help her. And the event just finished. Ayan, sa likod. Hey Shen, tapos ka na?
Hindi pa.
Oh.
Kunti pa.
Sige lang. So basically, we had 5 looks for this makeup demo with Jigs Maguya, as you can see earlier. It talked about the 5 trends that's going on currently in the beauty industry, and now I'm having my rosé. A lot of girls are still inside. Hindi pa sila tapos mag-try ng makeup because there's actually a makeup buffet inside. You can try all the makeup that you want. There's also a mix and match game where pag na-match mo yung one pair of eyes, you get to have your free blush on. I'll show you my free blush on. Wait. Here. So I picked this Milani Tea Rose. It's very neutral and natural looking. I didn't get the Luminoso kasi I normally apply highlighter. So ayoko masyado siyang agaw pansin. I just like natural look for normal days. I'm still waiting for my sundo. And in the meantime, I'm taking my rosé.